The NCAA came out with a very interesting verdict, and you know what? I actually like it. It's really rare. You'll hear me singing the NCAA's praises, but you know what, folks? There's a first for everything. Here we are. What I'm talking about is the 5-and-5 rule. Instead of 4 years of eligibility plus one red shirt, it's going to be 5 years, flat out. Doesn't matter. No red shirts. I think the red shirt is too gray of an area, thus it can be very easily manipulated, and that's what we've seen. Also, you shouldn't be rewarded if you weren't good enough to play. You shouldn't be playing college football at age 23 while others are having to go into the workforce because you weren't good enough to play year one, and that other guy was. That's how I see it. But what I think it should be, 4 years, but if you stay at that school for 4 years and you don't transfer one time, then you get a fifth year. I think this would reward loyalty. It incentivizes players to stay at one school instead of all these aimless transfers everywhere. But what I think, how would this even work? How do you even get there? I think the NCAA needs to completely reform the transfer portal. The first thing would be to come up with a CBA. Obviously, they're not going to do that. We know that. Here's what you should do. Back before NIL, I was very pro guys should have the absolute freedom to transfer whenever, however, wherever they wanted. They shouldn't have to sit out a year. And the reason being is because they were actually student athletes. They weren't being paid. Thus, it was really about education, right? Plus, college students transfer all the time, and they don't have to sit out a year to wait to go to the school the next year. Now that guys are being paid, this is a totally different ballgame. This is a trade-off. You're a part of the business of college football, and it is better for the ecosystem of the business of college football if people transfer aimlessly less. It makes it more engaging. Fans are able to connect with players more because they're at the same place for 3-4 years. There's a sense of familiarity there. Also, just the sport is more healthy when guys are staying at one school developing, I'd argue. I think coaches would agree with that. I think fans would agree with that. This is the trade-off for you getting paid because you are no longer just looking at an educational preference. You are a part of the business. So, because the NCAA, for some reason, is not willing to create a CBA, I believe we should bring back the if you transfer, you sit out rule. So here's what I think it should be. When you graduate high school, your eligibility clock starts, bam. I can't snap. It's one of my few weaknesses. You have 5 years to play college sports. 5 years. Doesn't matter if you play JUCO, whatever. You're done 5 years after you graduate high school. That's when the clock ends. If you transfer, you must sit out 1 year. Thus, you go from 5 years to 4 years of eligibility. If you transfer twice, you sit out 1 year again. So you go from 5 to 4 to 3 years of eligibility. And if you transferred more, then it'll be 2 years and so on. When you hit 5 years after graduating high school, your time is up. And I think the reason why this would really benefit the sport as a whole, I think the NCAA should go to this, and I think they have the ability and power to go to this, yet they don't. This would get rid of all these 26-year-olds with wife and kids playing college football, right? Get rid of these guys who transfer and play 4 schools at 4 years, thus they're just jeopardizing their own career. They're hurting the coaches, hurting the fans, hurting themselves, their ability to develop because you're changing places every year. And it would reward loyalty for those who stay and develop, which is something that clearly fans of the game love, coaches of the game love. I think coaches would love this system. Fans would love this system. Eventually, I hope the NCAA goes to here, where you have 5 years of eligibility after high school. Doesn't matter if you play JUCO, whatever it may be. And then and there, your eligibility clock is up 5 years after you graduate high school. That's it, no exceptions. But overall, you know what? I think this is a solid ruling by the NCAA. And red shirts just create this super gray area for people to manipulate, right? So as a result, I don't think they should exist, right? And it's costing a lot of high school athletes a free scholarship to go get an education. Ultimately, all these 25-year-olds playing and seeking these extra years, that's what it's doing. It's hurting a lot of these 18-year-olds that want to go get an education. So, good step in the right direction for the NCAA. Still a lot of ways to go.